You are listening to the MVP Podcast.
All right. Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Talkin Tech. My name's Danny, and during these episodes, we are going to be discussing indie tech and how to apply it. And just so you guys know, these episodes always are going to have a video recording. This one's going to be a little different because I got a Mr. Caden Braly here, who is not necessarily an owner of like a tech company, but more of a consultant. We're going to have him talk about that in a little bit. But Caden here, I've had the pleasure of getting to know as of recent. If you guys don't already know, I work at a company called Wonderite, and the agency that he currently is a part of uses Wonderite today. And a lot of this, why Caden's on here today, is because of that current relationship of the agency and Wonderite and whatnot. So, Caden, I'm actually going to take it off to you here. And what I want you to do here, dude, just like, hey, tell us who you are and what's going on in your world.
Yeah. So my name is Caden. As Danny said, I'm the co-founder and CEO of AgentsTech, which in short is a technology consulting firm for independent insurance brokers. So we kind of take agents through the whole process of bringing their insurance agency into the 21st century. So that doesn't necessarily mean that we do it for them, but we help them figure out based off of their agent characteristics. So their agency characteristics, what that looks like for them, in connecting them and then helping them onboard and train with certain InsurTech or indie tech companies. So we really try to do a good job of determining what is this insurance agency's need, and then we connect them with those indie tech companies. So we make sure that we know who they are, and we don't put them with a company or a tech company that's maybe not going to solve their problem. So that's kind of what we are. We're a very relational type of consultant. So, we're not just going to send you an email and say, hey, here's what you should know, because in reality, no one really reads all that crap. So right. We are a one-to-one, in-person or Zoom call-based consulting firm for insurance brokers.
Dude, thank you for that. And what I heard is that he's not like loyal to one specific tech company, right? Am I right about that, Caden?
That is 100% true, yes.
Yeah, so kind of go through that a little bit. So it seems like you've done a lot of research with all the vendors out there, so like you have a pretty good knowledge of all the tech.
Yeah, so between me and our COO of AgentsTech, we've probably been on at least 150 to 175 demo meetings with either InsurTech or subsidizing, subversion of that is indie tech for brokers. And then also just general technology that helps agents from like video calls or whatever else it may be that could help them, cybersecurity, anything that you could think of. We kind of know the industry inside and out at this point.
I love that, dude. I love that. So, okay. What we're going to do now is, Caden, we talked before this and whatnot, and I'd asked like, hey man, think of like the biggest takeaway for this, because I want every listener to get something from this session here today. Okay, so Caden, like, what if I'm listening to this podcast right now, what is the biggest takeaway from this session?
Yeah, I think it's gonna really be an unbiased conversation about InsurTech, and that really not every InsurTech or indie tech company fits with your agency and your current goals. There's people that will say, oh, you need this, there's a buzzword or a company that's just taken off, and then everyone kind of shoots for them to say, oh man, that's what we need to really, ramp up our agency to increase revenue, decrease the amount of time it takes to get a quote to market, whatever it may be. And in reality, that company may have a totally different goal or a different market of what they're trying to do. I always like to use
Yeah.
the example, if I'm going to a smaller, small town insurance broker, that maybe has anywhere from 3 to 7 or 8 million in premium, I'm probably not going to refer them to Salesforce.
Yeah. That's
That's
right.
overkill, or
Definitely
like
not a good match there.
exactly. Now, I might refer them to Agency Zoom and might
Right.
get links or something that's a little bit more going to help solve their problems better. Because the worst thing that you can do is go to market, go try to find a software company or a tech company that is so overwhelming that you just waste a couple grand on it. We've done that at our agency because before we got really serious about all of it, we would kind of just shoot for the hills and see
Yeah.
what company would stick. And now finally, we've gotten to the point where every piece of tech that we're working on is vital to our agency process. So I think that's a long-winded version of what you're going to get out of this.
Dude, I love that. That's money. And two key things you had mentioned, you got the agent background, you got the tech knowledge that you've been accumulating. So let's actually, before we go into the tech, which I get all pumped up and jazzed about, we were talking yesterday about a couple of tech platforms, and the conversation was pretty great. But I want to talk about your agency background, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like literally from what you said before, like what the biggest takeaway is, dude, you can tell, what you're talking about. So like, just go into like what you're doing over at your agency today.
Yeah. So within our agency, so I'm the VP of business development.
Love it.
So while also doing commercial lines and personal line sales, every single lead that we have, whether it's an inbound lead, an outbound lead, and every single piece of technology that goes along with those leads, I have either implemented or oversee. And we have a couple different avenues that we get leads in, which are great. But I think it helps me right now working for two companies, owning one and then working for another, that I'm in it. It's like,
Yeah.
you don't want to talk to a consultant that's not actively in what they're doing, right? Because that's just
Right.
going to, you can have someone that maybe was in an agency 10, 15 years ago or 5 years ago, which is great. But if they're not in the day to day, how do you know they know what they're talking about? That's
Right.
just a thing for me.
That's fair. That's totally fair. It's actually what I battle over at Wonderite, right? Guys, I'm an account executive over there. And I also had a previous experience over at Agency Zoom. And the only way I was able to learn was literally talking to agents every single day. So I'm glad you bring that up. And, if I'm putting myself in an agent's shoes, right,
Yeah.
I'm going to want to listen to someone who does it today, right? And that's what you bring to the table here, Caden. And I think it's awesome. We need more individuals like yourself in the industry who are doing that, because what we're going to get into, and what I also see being on the tech side, is there is a disconnect, right, with tech and insurance. And what I mean by that is, if I'm a business owner, you're telling me I got to learn tech now, right? And so I guess does that go into why you started AgentsTech, or like why did you start the company?
Yeah, so we about a year and a half ago, I was at a travelers agents conference for up and coming personal lines agents. At the time, I got invited because I was doing a lot of personal lines business. And
Awesome.
today I don't much. I do majority commercial, but at the time I was doing personal. And I went to this conference. There's agencies that were a lot bigger than mine. I mean, like talking hundreds of millions in premium, guys that were, had people quoting for them. They had everything you could think of. And, me, I'm pretty much doing it all.
Yeah.
But the people up at the travelers, they had a few like panels talking about technology and stuff. And they were talking about, issues within the industry when it comes to, digitizing insurance. I was thinking about what they were saying. I was like, well, our agency, we already kind of solved that problem. Like,
Yeah.
that's something that we've already done. And so we had, I was thinking that whole time, and then we had a couple conversations with people, and we were at, I think it was at like a dinner or something. And I was just talking about, what our agency was up to. We had prior to that conference, we had about a year-long stint of just onboarding technology right and left. Obviously, things that made sense for our agency. I told you we had a little issue with just paying for
Yeah.
technology that didn't make sense for us. But by
Right.
that time, we had solidified things, and I was telling them, yeah, we're using this and we're using this and all this. And these people, they would come up after the dinner and said, "Hey, can I get your card? I need help." That literally, like, I had two people, those are their exact words were, "Hey, can I get your card? Like, our agency needs help with technology." I was like,
Yeah.
okay, so these are agents that are 3, 4, 5 times our agency size, and they need help. If
Wow.
they need help, I'm guessing everyone underneath them in terms of, amount of premium needs help too.
Yeah.
So I went back and I said to our CEO, and I was like, "Hey, we need to figure something out with this because there's a massive need in the industry."
Yep.
So we kind of started the planning for that, and our COO of the agency I work for, CEO of the agency I work for, is also the COO of AgentsTech. So
Oh,
technically, I work for him, he works for me. So
awesome.
that's an interesting dynamic.
Yeah.
Uh, but that's kind of how we got started. And then from there, before we actually even went live with the LLC,
Hmm.
we started talking to different companies. You wonder, I was that we had a conversation, a
Yep.
couple of ones as well, just to make sure that they were on board as well, because we can't go into starting a consulting company without technology to back us up, right?
Right.
So that's kind of how we got started, and from there we've been having conversations with some aggregators.
Oh, great. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
doing some more conversations with other, just individual agencies as well that need help, and it's been really good, and I'm blessed to be at the point that we're at right now.
Yeah, man, I'm not gonna lie. What you're doing, what you're doing at the agency now over here at Agents Tech, man. I mean, good for you. Seriously, that's awesome. And again, my experience from being on the tech side, I can definitely vouch that there, unfortunately, is a huge disconnect with technology, and being a business owner. Unfortunately, it is. And me being on the tech side, uh, I sometimes assume that when I go into a meeting, that an agent would be on the same. I don't want to say in the same parks. That would sound me make conceit or something like that. No, but like they might have the same knowledge. And in all honesty, like that, I've had so many meetings where I bring up a solution like Zapier. I bring up Zapier all the time because it's a way to really connect tools. Because Caden, running an agency, there's not one stop shop, right? There's not
Doesn't
one solution
exist.
that it doesn't exist, right? Now it's being worked on. I know companies are out there, they're trying to do it, they're listening, but it's just not like that today, right? So like I would provide a solution like Zapier. And listen, I get it. It's not the perfect world. It's not a perfect world here. Okay. When I say Zapier, I'm like, hey, it's a way to maybe say, hey, I enter an account in agency Zoom, right? And agencies, that account would push over into, let's say, a Wonderite or something like that, right? Um, and when I tell agents that, they're like, what the heck, right? Now you're telling
Yeah.
me I can't buy this solution. Now you're telling me I got to learn Zapier. And in all honesty, you can probably attest to this too. Zapier's hard. It's not
Yeah.
easy. Like, have you done the trainings on it and stuff? Like,
I've done a little bit, just
yeah,
from because I have to know like a general overview of how it works. I don't know
right.
like the whole coding platform and all that thing, but
Yeah.
a little side note, if you're an agent trying to learn Zapier, just stop. Go hire someone. You're going to absolutely waste your time, and
Yes.
you're probably going to get really frustrated.
Yes, good point. Like you should be focused on selling, right? Especially if I'm a
Exactly.
scratch agent, I should not be focused on that portion of the business.
Yeah.
You might have to because, budget's scarce, right?
Right.
But there are companies out there that can help piece the puzzle together for you that's affordable. So another thing I heard you say, Kate, I want you to talk about, and you mentioned it to me on an earlier conversation that we have, is that you look at the technology that the agency's using, and one, you help them get more use out of it, or two, you kind of tell them like, hey man, like, you might not even need this. Is that kind of what I was hearing earlier?
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah. So I would say majority of the people that we are working with are ones that maybe have, they maybe have an AMS system. They may use EasyLinks or Applied or Vertafore, some of them Salesforce too.
Yeah.
But the things that are really going to make the difference for them are the peripheral software. So things like Wonderwrite, things like Loss Run Pro, things like commercial raters like Bold Penguin and Tarmica. Those are the things that we really are specializing in with them, because there's already a lot of people that specialize in setting up agency Zoom, automations, EasyLinks, Epic, Salesforce, Veruna, all those things. But there's not very many people that help specialize in teaching and training and integrating with all the peripheral ones. So that's what we're really focusing on. But we have gone into some agencies and said, hey, they said, we have them fill out not a massive document, but a pretty big document about what they're currently using. And I look at it and I'm like, whoa, dude, slow. Let's start over. Like
chill out a little bit, right?
Exactly. I mean, like I equate it, and a lot of agents understand it when I use this example, but I said, we go to market for you just like you go to the market for your customers, right? You have, imagine if you went to a customer and you said, or the customer came to you and said, hey, I have 23 insurance policies, one for cyber, one for property, one for liability. In reality, you could have told them, hey man, Travelers actually has like 5 of these policies in one. So why don't we just consolidate all those together so that you don't have to, manage 23 insurance policies? That's kind of like
simplify it.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Let's simplify it. Let's get to the point where your technology, one, is so integrated into your current business that you, one, can't live without it. And then also let's get to a point where you can start focusing on sales again, because if you're not growing, you're dying. So that's what we're focused on at AgentsTech, is not necessarily getting you with the most flashy, up-to-date, cool, indie tech, InsurTech software. It is the software that we're going to implement, is it going to help do 3 things? And these are our 3 things: increase revenue, decrease expenses, or increase efficiency. Those are our 3 things that we can actually say these are tangible results from implementing this InsurTech. And majority of the time, it's really the third one. It's increasing efficiency, because that's what all these companies do. And then revenue, obviously, is going to be the next one when it comes to like Bold Penguin's exchange leads. Fantastic. We use those within our agency, or different things that will actually bring in revenue. But increasing that efficiency is probably our number 1 goal within AgentsTech.
Love it, man. Love it. So, okay. So I'm going to get into like the tech side. You said you've done so many demos of tech. Let's just talk about it. Like you brought up a couple, like Tarmica, Bold Penguin. Like, I guess, like, what's some others out there that you're excited for? We don't have to like name off like 5, just like maybe like 1 or 2 that you're like, hey, like, eventually these guys are going to make a huge impact in space. Like, what do we have to get like agents excited for here?
Yeah, I mean, so not to toot your own horn, but I think Wonderwrite has a massive place. And that's not because I'm not getting paid by Wonderwrite for this conversation at all. It's just based off of what we see in the market, right? So technology needs to adapt to what the market conditions are. So we have right now the largest transition of excess and surplus business from, admitted markets like Nationwide, Travelers, whatever the mainstream Super Bowl commercial insurance broker that you've heard of, to the excess and surplus non-admitted markets, right? With that comes what? massive amounts of paperwork. So you can't just go to, like, right now, a lot of within our agency, a lot of the bottom 20% of our lesser's risks in property, because we're based in Texas, are getting non-renewed and having to go to the surplus market. So we're having to use Wonderite every single day to fill out those, accord forms or supplementals or whatever it may be. And that's just because I think they're going to be because that's where the market's going. If you think that the market is going to correct itself next year, you're going to be heavily disappointed. I'm fairly sure you're going to be heavily disappointed. But I think Wonderite is one that's going to is doing massive things. And then another, I'd say, in terms of one that's a little bit more established, Bold Penguin, we talked about that right now.
Yeah.
We talked about that yesterday. I think Bold Penguin is going to start seeing massive amounts of customers come in the door because personal lines right now is hard, and they have their lead exchange program, which brings in live transfer leads that are high closing rates. They may be small business, right?
Yeah.
But if you're a personal lines majority agent, maybe you have, like, say your book's like 80% personal, 20% commercial, right?
Right.
A lot of your business is moving to wherever else it may go. Like, say, if you're a personal lines agent in Texas right now, that's a rough job. That is a rough.
God bless. Praying for you, right?
Yeah, praying for you. Same thing with Florida and California. That's tough. But if you're thinking, hey, maybe we should try to, shift some of our personal lines business to commercial lines, you can pay a couple $1,000s a month for Bold Penguin live exchange leads, and the closing rates are insane. Like,
that's awesome.
When we were
to clarify, though, their closing rates are insane because you have a good process.
Exactly.
And the technology has made it more hands-off for you in handling that lead, correct?
100%. Yeah. So the thing with Bold Penguin, and that I really love with what they're doing, is with their live transfer leads, the process to get a quote started is so easy when it comes to either the direct carrier appointments that you have that they're already integrated with, or some of their like sub appointment carriers, like they have one with Coterie and Byberg and all these other things that you're like, well, yeah, we need these, and they can definitely help out in a pinch when there's a carrier that's not wanting to do something. But yes, the process for Bold Penguin, we have, some of our commercial producers are closing $2, $3, $4, $5, $10,000 premium accounts over the phone first call.
No way. Wow.
Yeah,
talk about efficiency.
Yeah, because like you have a live transfer lead that's coming in. Why are they calling in?
Right.
For, they want it quick, right? So if we can close on the phone right then and there, that's great. But Wonderite, Bold Penguin, and then something that's up and coming. I would say there's a new AMS CRM system called Iris coming out.
Yeah.
Iris is, in my opinion, a company that is starting to make the legacy systems kind of be uncomfortable when it comes to the AMS integrations with things. Gotcha. I think Iris is we've seen some demos with Iris, and we're quite impressed with what they have available. So those would be my big three.
Love it, man. That's awesome. So guys, I like to keep these sessions right to the point, shorter, get you guys back to your day, but give you some knowledge, if you're jogging or doing something while you're listening to this. But what I'm going to ask Caden here now is, guys, there's a trade show coming up. Well, we don't want to call it trade show. It's a showcase. It's called InsurTech. And InsurTech is basically a showcase of technology that independent agents use. And the idea behind it is, when you go to these trade shows, you got the vendors on the outside, you talk to them. But again, when we're talking with Caden here, and Caden had knowledge of hey, how do we integrate these systems? How do we make it more efficient for you? InsurTech is providing more of that information for you to integrate, okay? Because again, technology is hard if you're a business owner, right? It's new. The insurance space is a little outdated in that area. So it's a great event. Go check it out. But Caden, give your 2 cents and like, why do you think that this is going to be important for the industry?
Yeah, I think it's important because it focuses on independent PNC brokers.
Yeah.
It's very specific, and I will say it, every single vendor that's going to be there, we have had conversations with. Some of them are very good relationships with. Some of them that we're developing relationships, but you need to go just to associate yourself of what's out there, because some of them, I know Wonderite is going to be there, and a couple others are going to be game changers. And to sum it all up, what I think InsurTech represents is a shift in insurance brokers, and you want to be on the good side of that shift before you get left in the dust, because other agents are going to be able to quote faster than you. They're going to be able to get accord forms and block markets faster than you. It's all about the efficiency, and I think that's a very good sum of the InsurTech is tech companies, InsurTech companies that are making agents' lives a lot easier.
Love it, brother. I appreciate that. Caden, you're the man. I appreciate you coming on here. You dropped some bombs on us. It was great. And hey, dude, hey, how do I reach out to you if I'm an agent? Should I just email you, or like, how should I do that?
Yeah, so there's a couple different ways. You can email me at caden@agentstech.com. It's CADEN@agentstech.com, or you can submit a schedule consultation with us on our website at agentstech.com, or just shoot me a DM in LinkedIn and we can talk that way.
Hell yeah, brother. Hit them up. Just have a conversation with them. Why not, right? About what's out there. But guys, at the end of the day, we discussed InsurTech, how it's going to help your agency. It was a little different today with bringing Caden on, but it was awesome. And the goal here is to make everyone aware of what's out there and to get rid of all the confusion. Catch you on the next episode. Thanks, guys.
Thanks.